Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, he was part of President Trump's inner circle, outspoken, controversial, on the fringes of the conservative right. But last week, Sebastian Gorka was out of the White House, the latest in a slew of high-profile departures, including his ally and the chief strategist, Steve Bannon. A revolving door that bears all the hallmarks of the president's new chief of staff, General John Kelly. Advisor and supporter of Donald Trump's Make America Great Again agenda, Sebastian Gorka wrote in his resignation letter, "The individuals who most embodied and represented the policies that will make America great again have been internally countered, systematically removed or undermined in recent months." Mr. Gorka's nationalist views made him an ally of the ousted chief strategist Steve Bannon, who he previously worked with at the right-wing website Breitbart News. In a contradicting account of his exit, a statement attributed to a White House official said Sebastian Gorka did not resign, but I can confirm he no longer works at the White House.
He's saying don't test America and don't test Donald J. Trump.
Known for his combative defense on cable news of some of President Trump's more controversial policies, Mr. Gorka has drawn criticism for his views on Islam and faced accusations of links to far-right groups in Europe. Yesterday, he said he intends to support the president from outside the White House. And Sebastian Gorka joins us now live from Washington, D.C. If what you say in your resignation letter is true, that the forces who are against the whole Make America Great Again move are in the ascendant, that people like you have been sort of frozen out and undermined, how has Donald Trump so quickly lost control of his own administration?
Look, the fact is that last year on November the 8th, Election Day, a scrappy bunch of insurgents won against the elite. It was a victory as much against the right-wing establishment as it was against Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. A few months later, on January the 20th, on the inauguration, when we came into the building, we came into the White House, it was a hostile takeover. Remember, Donald J. Trump may have formerly been the GOP Republican candidate, but he had nothing to do with the entrenched GOP establishment here in the swamp. So it's not surprising that there are forces inside the building who pushed back. There are many people inside the White House who would have been comfortable in a Hillary Clinton administration, and that's just the reality of the swamp. But don't worry, we will win.
So, I mean, you're talking about the generals, clearly, aren't you? I mean, you're talking about General John Kelly and General McMaster. I mean, these are the people who've come into the White House, and as they've come in, you and Bannon have been driven out.
Not at all. I resigned, so did Steve. It's not about the generals. That's like a cheap narrative from a Tom Clancy novel. John Kelly is a consummate military professional, a four-star Marine general. So, no, it's about people who, through their lives... Well, I'm not here to stoke palace intrigue stories. I had enough of those. I was, up to my ears with those for the last 8 months.
But that's exactly what your statement's done. You can't say you're not here to stoke palace intrigue when you release a resignation letter
about targeting
that
individuals.
Talks about, people who are against President Trump's agenda without saying who they are. You are precisely stoking the intrigue.
If you have a pulse and you're breathing and you follow U.S. politics, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm not here to attack the administration en bloc or individuals. I'm here to support the president's agenda. And he reached out to me after my resignation and informed me that he would like me to do so from the outside. And that's what I, Steve Bannon, and everybody else who's committed to the Make America Great Again agenda will be doing. This is just phase 2 of the MAGA agenda.
Well, he may have sent you a message after the event, but surely you feel very let down by the president. I mean, after all, you were out there every day
not at all.
defending him, and he didn't lift a finger to stop you leaving the White House.
No, not at all. Not at all. This man is unstoppable. The fact that we have entrenched interests for decades in this city is just a reality that we're going to deal with.
But this is all contradictory. I mean, you're saying he's lost control and that the people around him have pushed out the great supporters like you and Steve Bannon. Yet you're saying he's unstoppable. He clearly is stoppable because people like you have been pushed out.
Not at all. This is going to be an 8-year presidency, and we're only in the 8th month. I mean, are you really so facile in your understanding of politics that you think the MAGA agenda is going to take 8 months to realize?
Well, you're the one who's saying it's being undermined, and really, the people who are against it are in the ascendancy.
No, I'm saying that you're not listening. I said the MAGA agenda inside the building has been systematically boxed out. But that's just part of it. I mean, you do know how many people voted for the president. You do know there are 320 million people
Hillary
in
Clinton.
this country. Yeah, well, you should look at the electoral college system. That's how our democracy and our republic works.
The point is, you seem to be having it both ways. I mean, you're the one who's saying that the president's agenda is being undermined inside the White House. I'm asking you, how has the president lost control of the White House? I mean, those are the people closest to him.
You're clearly not listening. I said to you that this was an insurgent victory, and I said to you that we were involved in a hostile takeover. As my letter indicates, we have a temporary situation where those people who are not committed fully to the MAGA agenda are in the ascendancy.
So why hasn't he sacked them instead of sacking you?
I wasn't sacked.
Well,
you really have to get your facts right.
They say you were. I mean, look,
I spoke to John. No, they didn't. A low-level flunky in the comms shop who lied about her rank sent out an anonymous email to reporters. That's all you need to know about her spin on the matter. The fact that I spoke to General Kelly on Friday.
The point is, you're out.
Told him I'm resigning.
So, I mean, you know, how has that happened?
For now,
if the president wanted you, you would be in. Surely what's happened is the president's got into power and he's realised, actually, I need serious people around me, not Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka.
It's not about my ego or where I'm sitting. It's about the president's agenda actually being realized. And right now, the best way we can do that, Steve and myself and others, is outside the building. It's a very simple calculation. If you want me to explain it to you a fourth time, I will.
No, what I'd really like you to do is shed some light on how things worked inside the White House. Because you were there, and so was Steve Bannon, during one of the trickiest periods and arguably one of the most damaging periods for the Trump presidency, which is what happened over Charlottesville and the mess he got into over his sort of equivalence over the far right and anti-racism protesters. So, because what I wonder is, what were you saying at the time to him then? What were people around President Trump saying to him? Were you the ones egging him on to say, look, there is bad on both sides here, don't come down on one side or the other?
Look, the idea that you have left-wing activists, you have an individual who is a Bernie Sanders supporter, attempt to assassinate a Republican congressman who was killed with a hit list in his pocket of the other Republican congressman he was going to assassinate at that baseball field. In addition to the Green candidate, Jill Stein's supporter, knifing to death 2 people in Oregon on a train, it's the left that has normalized violence. The KKK are a joke. They don't have any place in normal political life. But didn't you look at those
pictures of Nazis and say to the president, look, Mr. President, you've got to condemn these people. You can't say that they're the same. There aren't great people in amongst these marchers. These are Nazis.
Just keep spinning your left-wing wet dreams, please.
What, is that the best you've got?
No, I mean, you're clearly not listening. There is violence on both sides of these events. When people come with baseball bats and urine bombs to these events under the name of anti-fascism, I'm sorry, we don't do that in a democracy. The KKK are just as bad as individuals on the left who come to be violent. It's not a complicated state of affairs.
This is very revealing. I mean, if this is what you were saying to Donald Trump, then I think we get a really good sense of why he said what he said.
No, I wasn't advising him. I was actually on vacation when Charlottesville happened. But if you don't understand that assassinating or attempting to assassinate Republican congressmen is actually wrong, then Channel 4 shouldn't be in the news business.
Oh, well, we'll take your advice under consideration. Sebastian Gorka, thank you very much indeed.
That's great.
I've been getting